There's a new setting in your pattern fill called the Chisel Distance. And this is just one more example of where Floriani's Total Control software really lives up to its name, because if you're an embroidery designer that wants to do shading and highlighting, this could be a really popular effect. So let me explain how it works. I'm just going to open up an empty workspace and use a simple tool to create just a circle. And then on top of that, I'll put a second circle. And so the idea would be, could we create two layers of fill that are blending together? And so we'll create that first sort of bottom layer as a standard fill. And then the one that comes on top, maybe we'll just change its color to be a little bit lighter. And when we fill that one, we might use an open density to allow it to kind of sink into the one underneath and show more of it through. And so instead of the standard 0.5 density, if I made the density 2 millimeters apart, you would see what I mean. Now you can really see through it. And so the next thing you would do is turn off the underlying stitches, because the whole point is to let this to sink in. And then the next thing you would do is set the entry and exit points so that they were on kind of either end of the sort of area that you're going to stitch, so that it didn't have to have any of that traveling underneath, and it could just start here and stitch across and end there. And so this is really how we do shading or highlighting or blending of colors. Only right now with the software, the default setting when the density is really open is to use kind of a sort of like flat edge like that. And when you select a shape, you do have the ability in your properties to choose the kind of edge that you want. And there's chiseled, there's sharp, there's square, and there's one side. Well, now in the chiseled, we have the ability to set the chisel distance. So right now with the small chisel distance, you're not really seeing it, but if I make that number larger, like 1 or 2, and say apply, can you see how that affects these edges here? So if I was to undo how they were kind of flattened edges, and now, so if the whole point is to blend these two colors together, that kind of an edge is going to blend better than the original edge where it was, flat like this. And so once again, okay, it's hard to get it to show. So this is where you select your fill, and you go into your, in the properties area, it's the very last tab called General, and you set it to chiseled, but you open up the stitch distance to be a larger chisel distance than your density, so that you don't get that flattening edges, and now you can blend in. So it's great for shading and highlighting of colors together. And it's just one more example of really how you do get total control with the Floriani software. And you'll really never grow out of it, because every time you learn a new technique, you find out the software can do it. And so we hope you enjoy the new chisel distance in the pattern fill.